We talk about the actual card game later.
Yeah, we can talk about that in a second. But what I want to do is I want to go to prom, but by prom I mean I want to go to the this actual episode of the show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Runeterrable Radio. I am your host, Blevins. With me, as always, is Saucy Mailman. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, dude? How's it going?
It's going well, and we have yet again another guest, Saucy. We've got the man, the myth, the legend, the streamer extraordinaire. We've got NicMakesPlays. What's up, buddy?
I thought when you said the guy who's with me always, you're gonna like jokingly say me, and I was gonna be like, "This is my first time."
Like, wait,
Also,
I don't know what's going on.
When you said, I would know that we started. This is like that time, right? Where I know
when the theme song starts and you can hear it, and I'm dancing.
And you said we're starting.
Yeah,
got it.
See, I try to make it as obvious as possible. Sometimes you just need a little bit of a nudge, but
it makes it more fun. No, it's more fun that way because then you get to see the shocked face, like, oh, this is a thing that's happening.
See, it is funny when people are like, wait, why can I? Oh, okay.
But I do like that song.
It's a fantastic song done by Delver Music. If you're looking to check them out, make sure you do. I'm sure. Oh yeah, Saucy's got the hat. Saucy will throw the link to their Twitch channel and Twitter and whatnot. Or not, one or the other.
This is great water.
It's
sponsored by water.
Yes. Today's episode is brought to you by water. If you're looking for hydration, look no further than the good old H2O water in stores now. Not really. We're not at water.
You can use it to make coffee.
You can use it to make coffee. I swear we're gonna actually talk about Legends of Runeterra at some point. There's gonna be like people who are listening to the first time who are like, "What the hell did I click?"
These guys have the worst all over the place podcast.
Dumbest show ever, but that's okay. Yeah. That's great. But Saucy, before we get into talking with Nick about what he's doing in LOR and all of the awesome topics we have planned, we've got, for the first time, Saucy, we've got a little bit of housekeeping to go over because we've got some brand spanking new patrons that went over to patreon.com/Runeterrable Radio and have shown their support. We mentioned it at the end of the last episode, but Cosign Joe was the very first patron. He came in at the $20 level. Night Striker came in at the $10 level, and Riven Hound came in at the $5 level. So shout outs to all of them. Again, you can also support us over at patreon.com/Runeterrable Radio and get a shout out as well. Yes, we got, and you even get the "Let's Go" from NicMakesPlays.
Yeah,
let's go.
We're like real kid podcasters now.
I know. I've got a little section at the beginning. We've got patrons. It's great. We've got awesome guests. It's awesome. But okay, so that's the housekeeping. Now we get into the nitty-gritty of it, and we're going to start off by talking about you, Nick, and your background in card games and all that stuff. So for those of you, for the fans who don't know, what is your background in strategy game, card games? Where do you come from?
So I play like every card game. I played Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, Hearthstone, Pokemon, Shadowverse. I'm not every one, but some of the main ones. Mm-hmm. But the only game I pursued competitively was Yu-Gi-Oh, and I was at one point the best team in the world, and I was a pro player. I played competitively 10 years. I don't really know what that is definitively like. You're a pro, but at least like 5 of those years. Topped in 1 events and stuff, and a lot of fun. So yeah, I came from that. But I do like to play the other card games I said casually, and if my friends are competitive, like I've helped people test for like Magic, whatever they are, Pro Tours.
Well, they used to be called Pro Tours. I don't know what they're called anymore.
Like PPQs and stuff.
Yeah.
I just like card games a lot. They've always been really fun to me. I grew up obsessed with like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh. They were just both really addicting growing up. I thought they were really cool. I like Nintendo games too, and I like playing games in different ways. I like, especially like for example, like in Yu-Gi-Oh, there's no drafting really,
Mm-hmm.
but my friends made like cubes. Most people know this are from Magic, so I like doing those. Play Pokemon cubes. I like playing. I played like revisited the base set Pokemon just to make things there. So I guess I just like card games casual and competitively. I mean, competitive like my competitive drive and winning tournaments is like my number one goal. It's like the highest like adrenaline and peak to me for fun. But I love it. Just I think card games are fun. I like the theory crafting, the deck building.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, a lot of us, of course, came from similar backgrounds. Saucy and I came from Magic and Hearthstone mostly. I played Yu-Gi-Oh way back in the day, like in 2003. Like,
oh
yeah,
wow.
like my deck was I was playing all of the like the banned cards. Like that was every deck was like Change of Heart, Monster Reborn, Yatagarasu, Injection Ferret, like all of the like super good cards, and then like 3 tech slots to make your deck look a little bit different than the other ones.
Yeah. No, I swear this is a completely different deck. I've got one card different.
Okay. So I made this myself. I started in 2009, but the cool thing I've heard people play back when you played was that there was no like internet, or I guess maybe there was scarce, so there wasn't any like internet.
Very little.
You could just go. You couldn't just go look up like what's the best deck. As easy as now, like Runeterra, people make guides constantly where it's like, here's the top decks, here's how you play this. But back then, if you're playing with somebody like an opponent in Yu-Gi-Oh 2003, you sit down, their deck could be anything. And it could even be cards you've never seen before, like depending on how much you played. So that's pretty cool to feel that like there's a agreed upon old school format for Yu-Gi-Oh 2005, and like the decks are like 10 million times better now because like being able to revisit it and have like like 10 years of like theory crafting and improving them. But a lot of people are saying it's super skillful back then because people like you were tested in a different way where you couldn't just go like the decks were worse, but everyone's the decks were worse. So if you were truly a good deck builder, theory crafter, you would like do well because you were ahead of the curve.
Well, it was also cool because like even more so than like Magic in some ways, like people would build around the theme, right? Like people love to build their like dragon decks in Magic or elves or goblins or whatever, but like Yu-Gi-Oh also had the show around it, so it's like
Dark Magician deck.
Yeah, like people would play the Dark Magician deck or like the Egyptians deck and like all that stuff, and like the sets had the themes, and like if you were super hardcore optimizing, like you wouldn't play like whatever super expensive random theme of the set, but like you'd just play like the super powerful cards. But like if you get those things online and you're not ready for them, like you can really get blown out by some of that stuff. And
there's like cookie cutter decks that are powerful, which is like all the best cards. And then there's usually called chaos because a lot of them revolved around light and dark monsters.
Yeah.
And there's also just Yu-Gi-Oh, especially at one point, I think it was around 2008 where they started really getting more so into archetypes. It's actually funny because I think I remember that I don't remember if it was maybe it was just a magazine or maybe it was Official Kami or something. I don't remember. People were asking what they wanted more of, and everyone kept saying archetypes, and then they started printing like archetypes, and that's how it started getting pretty crazy because they would give like full support towards one thing. I remember the oldest archetypes in the entire game is called Gravekeepers. Those might be the Egyptians you're referring to. I'm not sure. They came out in like 2005, 2004, and then 10 years later, or I guess I don't know, maybe like 2011. 6 years later, they got like crazy support, and then it just revived an archetype that like wasn't really like a thing for like 6 years, and that actually became one of my favorite decks.
That's awesome.
So nice.
Cool.
Yeah, the archetypes were like you played Lord of D and had dragons in your deck, or like you played what was the thing called Gradius? Was that a thing? I think. And like
Gradius. Yeah, that card sold. It's the machine. That's wild card.
Yeah, the machine decks. I'm telling you, I played like literally. I think there were 4 or 5 sets out when I was playing. But it was a completely different time in terms of like I mean, there were websites, but like I was, like 12, so like I didn't even. I
make what you have.
Right. I got to use the internet like twice a week on my parents' dial-up connection. So it's like,
Did they ever have it in Yu-Gi-Oh, like in Magic, where you'd get the big ass magazine that come out once a month to tell you the values of all the cards? Did they have those for Yu-Gi-Oh?
Yeah, they actually have later on they have a thing called Shonen Jumps as well, which is the official Yu-Gi-Oh things, and they come with cards.
Yeah.
People love that. They come with
just
like a special
remember,
card that you can only
like, I
get
remember
in the game.
always getting the ones for Pokemon and for Magic where like, yeah, this card is worth X, Y, and Z, and like they would value the cards, and then the internet happened and people were like, no, this card's actually worth $800 now, and then it became a shit show.
It's I always think about like going back in time and like knowing what I know now about like not even like finance, but just like knowing what like the values of things actually mean and like how fast it can actually change. Like you can just take so much of it. Like I feel like it'd be fun to go and be like, oh, well, this card is actually much better than they're valuing it at, and just picking up. Like I'm sure there are people who are my age now back then that were doing that. But yeah, I mean they always had like the Beckett card guides, which came from like which came from like baseball cards and traditional sports cards, but then they started picking up like, Magic cards and Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon and all that.
I had a $5 card, and so the first year I played competitively, I got invited to nationals. So I was 15, and I went to nationals, and there was a card. And I was, for 15, I was, smart enough to like know like my prices of my cards and look them up. This guy was buying his card for $5 each, right? And it was like a secret rare, but it was like not played at all. Like it was just literally not played whatsoever. So he's like, hey, in my binder, like, hey, would you sell these for $5 each? And I was like, let me just look them up. And I looked them up, and they're like $4 or $5. And to me, I was 15, so $5 was actually like a decent amount. I was like, oh, sweet, $10. Like, and I sold them the next day at the event. They were $110 each, and they never went down after that for like 3 years. It was like that card actually became like one of the main cards of the entire game after that event, and then it became like banned later.
That's crazy.
But I mean, as a kid, I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, you got what it was worth, right?
I didn't really think it was gonna be that great because like no one played at the time. But I guess that guy, because there were vendors that are friends with pros, and I'm sure the pros at the time are like, this card's secretly like the best card. Like, you need to pick these up all weekend and stuff like that. I had that happen one time where like there was a card that was only a super rare, so not that hard to get, and they're only $2 each. And I was playing 3 in my deck, and no one was playing it. And I was like, this card is so good. Like, I know this card is gonna be so good. And then I did one event, and so other people, and like everyone had it their deck, and then I had like 15 because I could just tell they're gonna be good. And then I went to $10 each, and that was really cool.
Yeah, it's fun to have those little wins there. I definitely paid for a trip to Orlando and the resulting 4 days at 4 days at Universal by buying Goblin Rabble Masters back in the day on Magic. But yeah, really, really cool. And I mean, we could talk about that sort of stuff for hours and hours, but let's get back a little bit into LOR. And obviously, Nick, you mentioned you just love card games and whatnot, but what really drew you into Legends of Runeterra? Because obviously that's like your main focus now, right?
Yeah, so I was so when I moved in with my friends in college, I like play a lot of video games, and I didn't have a Nintendo Switch, but I knew I was gonna buy one for like the new Smash Bros. And new Pokemon games that I assume were gonna come out on the Switch at the time. They weren't even announced yet, and I was like, well, I might as well stream it, right? And they said they'd do it with me, but then when it came down to streaming a lot, it was more like me, like they would come sometimes, but it was more just like they just would, it was only them. So I'll stream Mario Kart. I actually stream Mario Kart for 3 months straight every day for like 6 to 8 hours. It was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of Mario Kart. And then eventually I saw like the beta come out for like the Legend of Runeterra, and my friend was like, hey, they're making a Legend of Runeterra card game or League of Legends card game. I don't play League of Legends. I didn't even play TFT. I didn't do anything right. And all my friends always want to get me to play League, but I said I wouldn't because I knew it was one of those games that people say when you start playing it, you just like you play like infinitely. And I just said I knew I'd be sucked into it. So I was like, I don't want to play. So, but I was like, well, okay, card game, I gotta play that, right?
Yeah.
And I watched the original time they first showed it, and then I remember that week it was like Disguised Toast like had dropped keys in his chat, so I just left that open all week, and I got into it. And I got into closed beta. It was there was 2 closed betas. They were both 3 days each. One was October and November. And I played the October one, and it was just so fun. I was like, wow, this is like amazing. Like I really hope this becomes like taken off like I think that most people play certainly at least particular card games for a long time. Like say you played Hearthstone for like 5 years, or Magic for like 5+ years, or Yu-Gi-Oh, whatever. You see the power creep in the game, and you kind of just want like a breath of fresh air, like that new thing. And the advertisements were just like skill of RNG, like this game is like super interactive, which I was one of the main things I liked about Yu-Gi-Oh is how interactive it was. Like I felt like if you were a good player or like a better player than them, you always could like interact or make it so you can win. Like, you're always in so much control of your games. Like people who don't play Yu-Gi-Oh, like usually like they meme about it and say how it's like oh, pot of greed, blah, blah, blah. That's just like TV show stuff.
Yeah,
or like, like, oh, for this first turn kills, it's like those would never actually work against anybody. Those are literally like clickbait people for people who don't actually play the game. Like, like literally 1 in 2 billion% chance if you're not playing against a tournament player, this will happen. But like the actual game is super interactive. Like you can play cards both players' turns, of course, with traps, right? So I liked this game a lot because I was like, this is pretty cool because you can do things your opponent's turn, and I liked how there's interactive. The spell mana was interesting to me because I played some Magic, casually, but it was kind of weird how like with land you can either not draw lands, or if you like miss like a turn of like max value of your curve, it can get weird. But this game was like, oh, the spellman idea is genius because even if you miss your curve, you still have a chance to like play, and you're not like. It just felt so fair. Like the game felt more consistent, and it was mostly just I love card games, and it was a new card game. But then when I was playing it, I was like, this is super fun, and I really played like during the beta, I played like 12 hours like every day. I was like, this is so fun. I would just play all day, and I was like, I can't wait for this to come out. So it was fresh, it was fun and interactive, and I still think that it holds those values. So I really liked it. I just basically I did that. Then it went away. Right, I had a month between then and the next closed beta. And if you're in the first one, you get in the second one. So I was like, well, I guess I'll just play TFT then to like. I don't know, like it's right. And my friend was trying to get me to play TFT at the time. She was like, it's just like card games, you'll love it. And I actually liked it a lot. And I started to feel like, oh, these games are actually really fun. Like I just couldn't wait for the beta, the new beta. And then I just liked it. New card game. It was great. It was amazing. I literally said like, this is my last go at a card game because like Yu-Gi-Oh! The reason I quit that was because I was going to college and that game's really expensive. Like traveling and it's also like the time commitment to be a top or pro player. You need to practice like 6 hours a day in certain matches. Like certain matchups, I'll go to my team's house and we play one matchup, mirror matches for 8 hours. And like that, like all day. We go get a break, get food, come back, play a mirror match over and over again. And I just felt that wasn't that doable with college, but this game is like online and it's free to play. So I don't know, it hit every mark. It was fun, fresh, and if I'm having fun with something, like you can just play it all day and not notice what time goes because you're just like so into it. And people ask me a lot, like, dude, how can you play like 6 hours of games? Like I can play like 3 or 4 games without getting burnt out. I'm like, it's just a lot of fun. I just have fun like the whole time. So like I just want to keep playing it. Even off stream, I play. Like no joke, people like queue into me and like message me and be like, "Wow, you play off stream?" And like you already played for like 6 hours. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but I just, I was getting dinner and I just thought, what if I had this card in my deck? It'd be cool. And I want to try it.
And that's part of the beauty of the game too. Is it's like, you can put a lot of time and effort and play the game a ton, and you get rewarded for the effort that you're putting in. But also, like, you can just play a couple games a day and be fine. And not everyone has to play 10,000 hours a day just to get the cards to be able to play a deck, right? like some of the other games.
I don't have a full collection.
I
don't have a full collection. Like a lot of people in my chat say they only play like a few games a day, free to play since like the beginning. They have full collections, sometimes since the beginning. I mean, I have 3 accounts, that's why I don't have a full collection. But the point is, you don't have to play that much to get all the cards. Like, especially like I tell people, if you spend like $10 just to get your first like good decks, you can like get the reward, region reward at a decent rate. You can easily have like everything you want. Like other card games, comparatively, I'm sure everyone who's played card games knows, like to get a tier 1 deck, it costs like, a lot of times like hundreds of dollars. This game, get a tier 1 deck, you get like what, 6 champions, and you can get like half of those just by like playing easily. You can get all of them really if you want. I mean, $10 in other card games is like a super rare you need like 2 of or something. And like it's 2 cards out of a deck.
It's I did a little stint of free to play on an EU account, and it was at the time that the Champless Noxus Elusives deck was very good. The Noxus Elusive deck was super good, and like I built a shell of it, played, like didn't lose in like iron or bronze or whatever. Like, and in like 2 days I had the complete tier 1 deck. And then from there, it's just like, well, okay, if I can spike a couple of champs here and there, like I can make a deck. It's like, it's super cheap and whatnot. But
I've been playing deep this format on EU. And it's funny because I have an EU account from when I got rank 1 NA and Scouts. I was like, what do I do? I guess I'll get Master EU, whatever. And I actually have 3 Nanos, 3 Maokai, and a full deep deck without crafting the. Well, I crafted some of the sea creatures, but I wasn't going to. I literally just got like Maokai and Nautiluses like just from playing. Like the Bilgewater reward just kept getting me like the Bilgewater was just like Nautilus. And I was like,
you got all the stuff.
And the Shadow was just like Maokai. And then people are this format like I'm playing on EU a lot this format, and they're just like, why are you playing deep? And I'm like, I just have this deep deck. I don't really have anything else but like deep and like Nightfall. So like I'm just playing deep and like it's not that bad. So
yeah it's solid.
That's awesome. So obviously, playing Yu-Gi-Oh at the highest level at the time that you did, very different from LOR right now, right? Because it's the first 2 or 3 sets, however you want to look at it, versus Yu-Gi-Oh, which had a store like decades of cards, right, or a decade plus of cards. What's it been like going from being at that super high competitive level where you have years and years of just cards and people's experiences versus going into a game where you're literally one of the first players playing it in the like closed-ish beta of a game's existence?
I've always liked deck building. Like deck building, fearing is probably my favorite part of the game. Like I enjoy playing a lot, but fearing deck building is what gets me really hooked. It's like as I said, like being dinner, like, oh, what if I add this card in my deck for this matchup? Or like, what if this raises the consistency? Or what if I cut this card for this matchup, makes it worse in this matchup, but my deck's better overall, et cetera, et cetera. And it just makes me really excited. That's what really like gets me into deck building and wanting to try stuff out. And I've always liked that kind of thing in other card games. Doesn't not just all of them. I just love theorying. Like if I theory one thing, I really want to try it. So I've always been a person who likes to do my own theorying. So I like the new cards because I don't feel like I have to like rely on other people, I guess. Like I'm never a person who's like, oh man, if this deck's so new, I need to go look at what people are playing. I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna theory what I want to do, and this looks good in theory. Like the thing I say a lot about this game is that people really underrate how good things are that they don't know about. Like I'm like, for example, like I think BBG is a pretty good example. Like people will say a card's not good or like that it's like average or bad, and then it would take someone like, I'm not gonna say me because that sounds I guess me.
You're in.
Like,
you're in that. You're there.
Yeah. And then we'll make it, and they're like, "Oh, I knew that was good." Like,
right.
Blah blah blah. And I think it's also easy. People shoot cards down a bit easily in this game because I think this game's pretty balanced. Like, I'll go a few formats, a few examples. I guess like Twisted Fate Fizz. I made a Twisted Fate Fizz deck like last format. I only made it because I've only tried 2 champs I haven't tried the whole game. And it was Fizz and Lee Sin. Like, I'll just make Fizz for the first time, and then I was like, wait, this deck has potential, and I kept doing better with it, and I think I made it like near tier 1 or if not tier 1, and then that was like near the end of the format, and I'm like, see guys, like there's more that meets the eye. You just can't be so close-minded. Like people, I'll be like, well, what do you guys think about Fizz? I'm sure most people would, if I talk to them, they'd be like, he's not very good. But what if he actually is? And another example, I remember during that burn format, not the one you're talking about, the one where like burn like PNC burn was really good. It was like Bannerman and that, and then BBG was stuck in like platinum or something for like a bit, just trying stuff out, and then he eventually got into Lux Karma. And at first he didn't do that great with it, he did like average. Then he just kept refining Lux Karma. And by the end of the format, BBG Lux Karma was like tier 1, like top 3 decks in the game. And it's just like, if you ask people at the beginning of the format, like, what do you mean Lux Karma? I'd be like, it's not good. It was just die to burn. Like, it won't be that great. And then when BBG does it, people are like, oh, dude, Lux Karma's so good. Like, I knew it. Like, it's just like, you gotta be open-minded. So I think that there has to be people innovating things. I'm not saying it has to be me, but I think in general, I enjoy deck building and theory crafting and stuff like that. So I like doing the innovation, and I hope other people like innovating stuff too. So in terms of your actual question, how do I feel about the game being new? I mean, to me, it's the same thing. Like a new set comes out in Yu-Gi-Oh. You do use older cards, but I have to be the one to innovate or my team and make new stuff. Like it's easier in Yu-Gi-Oh because I guess it does come with experience. Like you can kind of tell what will actually be good.
Right.
In this game, since it's newer, like it's more like, will this be good? Will it not be good? I just think there's no downside to trying things. People are like, oh, that's bad. It's just like, well, let's just try it. It could be good. Like,
what are you gonna lose? A couple of ladder points? Who cares? Like, it doesn't really matter right now.
Like when you see dragons, you probably think, oh, this is an incomplete archetype just waiting for Shyvana, and then it's actually done really well. Just pure Ace Soul dragons. Other champions. I think it's number 1 SCA at one point. SCA is a smaller region, but I think there was someone who got into top 3 EU with it at some point. And then we have Teal Red doing really good in NA with the Lux is
Asol.
it Lux Asol? Yeah, dragons, or there's not dragons, but
Lux Asol deck, yeah.
But like if you asked people 2 weeks ago, how good is this Lux Asol? They'll say, it's average, it's tier 2, whatever.
Right.
And then now you see it like becoming like a regular thing you play against, and people are like, oh, this is really good. So I just think I've always liked being open-minded to a card being good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm cool with it being new. I like deck building. I like theory. So it's the same thing to me, I think.
So I think similar to that, how you're talking about people are too quick to shoot down cards in this game, and sometimes it just takes
the community. No,
yeah, never does that happen. Reddit doesn't exist. How do you feel this deck rewards you for like learning how a deck works, like putting effort into it? Because I know, a lot of people know you from recently the Nocturne Diana deck. You're doing really well with it.
Oh, yeah.
And it was at the time where people were saying Nocturne was trash. He was the worst champion, and it's yeah, exactly, and it's a difficult deck.
I know.
But I was around when people are shitting on Nocturne, and you're like, no, this deck's gonna be good.
I'll talk about that real quick. All right.
So yeah, bring it up.
I got you. All right, Nocturne Diana. So the first thing that happens is that when I first saw Diana, I was like, the card's gonna be amazing. I saw Nocturne, I was like, maybe it could be pretty good. Maybe average, maybe good. But I didn't think it'd be bad, really.
Yeah.
And then I played the deck for a bit, and I'm like, man, okay. Well, the day before this, I actually made a bunch of decks, and then I saw Nightfall, and I was like, looking at it, and I was like, this looks below average to average. That's honestly how it looked on paper. Then the first day started, and I was like, so I had 2 decks I wanted to play. I had Asol, and I had Asol Leona, which is just like all the Celestials, Mountain Scryer, even had Moon Dreamers and stuff, role playing, whatever, a little bit, Celestial cards. And then I had Nightfall Diana, and I was like, well, I don't think Nightfall Diana's be that great. I think Asol Leona looks really powerful, so I'll try the worst one first. That way I can just get out of the way and then put all my time to like the one.
Yeah,
I started playing it, and I was like, this deck's feels below average, maybe average, but something I didn't really know if it'd be good or bad, the deck. Like I thought it honestly was just gonna be like maybe tier 2, if like at best. But I felt I could improve as a player with it. I was like, okay, well, I'm losing because I'm not doing something right, not because the deck's not good enough. Like even the deck's not that much better, like I can tell okay, so my first 18 games, I won 6 and lost 12. And I was just like, I know this is better than this. And I won't know how truly good the deck is until I figure out what I'm doing wrong, right? So I was like, okay, well, I don't want to say, oh, I'm losing. It's tier 3, tier 2. I want to, get as good as I can with it, and then say, okay, I'm pretty good. I have a confident opinion. This is like tier 2 or whatever. And then I was like, this is average, whatever. And I was actually gonna give it up a few times. I was playing it, and I was like, oh man, like it isn't working. And I was like, well, but it's so fun. And once I get that, that's what gets me going card games. Once I get that, well, what if I add this, or what if I try playing like this, or what if I like do this play instead, or what if I bait out this? Then that's when I get really excited about the game. So that was happening like the whole time, because I was like, okay, I guess I'll try this, then I'll try this, and I was like, wait, this is a pretty good deck. And then like I started playing it more. I started killing people with Nocturne like regularly on like turn 5 and 6, or even the games that wouldn't go like to turn 8. I found some like longevity, and I found ways to like get more advantage. And I was like, I quickly realized if you play like aggro, it's like okay, like not that good. You just play like a mid-range deck, and you just kind of like gauge the situation. Like if it's time to go in, it's time to go in. If it's time to chill, it's time to chill. You build. It's just a well-rounded deck that can put pressure, just apply field presence. It can even chill back a little bit. So I was just like, wow, wait, this deck's super versatile. I don't feel, and the better I got with it, I was like, okay, this deck's actually really skillful. And if I lose, I feel like it's because I did something wrong. I feel like the games I lose are in my control, which is always a good feeling in card games.
Yes.
Like you lose, you feel like you're not like, I couldn't do anything. Like I was like, man, I lost, but I really think I could have won that one. And it feels just good knowing I'm able to really like interact with my opponent, and it just feels fun. A lot of decision making, and I just stuck with it. And then I don't remember what happened. I think I just started thinking it was actually good. No, I remember what happened. I was in Plat 2, and a few people were Diamond already. And I was like, man, I don't know what deck to play. I'm gonna try Jinx Drave. And I just kept losing. I was like, man, I'll just try Nightfall one more time. And I went on a good winning streak with it. And I was like, okay. And then on Diamond, I like started getting really good with it and clicked, and I just like shot straight to Master, like beating like most people I played against. Like, and then at the end of it, I was like, all right, guys, I'm gonna give you the rundown. This deck is nice. It's really hard to play, but once you get it down, I mean, this is the way I see a lot of decks in this game, or any card game really. It's not that an individual deck is too hard. It's more about the learning curve. Some decks are easier to become good with than others. Like if I was just to play elites, right? I could probably become a good elite player in like 10, 20 games. But some decks like Karma Ezreal, like to be like a good Karma Ezreal player, that could take you like hundreds of games. Yeah. And I felt like Nightfall was just higher up on there, and I just once I just stuck it out, it was really good. But yeah, before I ramble, so just break it down. Yeah, people said that deck sucked. They said Nightfall sucked. I went all over Reddit, said it was just bad, and like Nocturne was not playable. People were saying Diana was bad, and like Nightfall was just like the worst archetype. And I was like, well, if I'm diamond with it right now, it can't be that bad, right? There's like 10 diamond players. It can't be that bad. Like,
especially since you're playing against other top level people at that point.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
you recognize the people you're playing against.
Yeah. Every time I play against somebody, I was like, man, like my favorite times of formats is actually the very beginning, because I feel like those are the hardest matches. I always play against someone who's really, really good, and like, and it's always cool to see the new stuff they're doing. Like I played against a lot of Lulu decks. I'm like, man, this guy innovating this Lulu deck. Like, what's it about? And I just kept playing and ended up hitting hit master rank 1. And the funniest part about this is that I went on Reddit, and this was pretty quickly in the format, right? Everyone was still saying, like, the most recent post or the most popular post were just, man, it just feels bad because Nightfall seems not that good. Or Nightfall seems complete, or Nocturne's useless. And I'm just sitting here like winning games with Nocturne, being like, wow, this card is like actually super good. And like Mogwai made a tweet about it saying he thought it was good, but people didn't know how to play it right. And then everyone's like, whoa, Mogwai also says, do you agree? I'm like, yeah, like he gets it. And then people are like, nah, Mogwai's just saying that because he's optimistic and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, like, really, it's good. Trust
No,
me.
seriously, guys, I promise.
It's actually skill intensive.
Yeah. So I put a post on Reddit when I hit rank 1 saying, hit master rank 1 Nocturne Diana. It got taken down with no comment saying, like, why.
Really?
I was like, they just don't want to.
Conspiracy theorists.
We're just lying, Like, this guy's obviously lying. Take this post down.
And I put and I ran through Luminary Priestess, and a lot of people were like, I don't get why you play that, like this and that. And I'll try to explain like, well, I hit master rank 1 with it. It's like,
I know a thing or two, maybe.
Yeah, the best way I can explain it was that if you put it as an all aggro deck without any endgame, if you play versus Trundle Asol or like Lux or Leona Asol, any Asol that makes you go to the late game, you're not gonna just kill them. Like you can get close, but they're gonna stall you. Like you're not.
Yeah, you run out of steam if you play it like an aggro deck.
Exactly. So I was like, you need this to like compete. Like you can get them close and then finish them off with like this and that, and like it's good. And I don't know. Yeah, I guess it sums up the question is that I think people underrate the skill. This is card game players in general. There's a lot, especially actually the biggest case of people who underrate how skillful card games aren't even like casual players. It's actually the players that are slightly above average. Those are the ones that underrate the absolute most. Those are usually the ones who say that card's not good. That sucks. I did everything right. It's like I feel like once you play at a top level, like in tournaments, like I did for Yu-Gi-Oh, or I think other people maybe have. I actually don't know the card game history of a lot of other people who like pros, like who've actually like topped and won events. Most top players, like most people who hit top 32, top 48, top 16, are like that. They're like, oh, I'm so good. Like that card sucks. I'm right. They kind of get like they feel good by thinking they're better than people, or so they're right about something. But top level players are like usually super open-minded because sometimes top level players are the ones who do the quirkiest stuff. Yeah. Like I'm sure in Magic you've seen. I mean, I haven't followed Quincy that much, but I'm sure that I can only imagine that there's been plenty of times a pro came out of nowhere, the deck that no one was playing. And
I mean,
amazing with it. It's like, wow, like how'd you do that? It's like because they're open-minded. Like, if their friend says, "Hey, this could be good," like I have a friend at LR who messaged me on Discord and says, "Hey, man, between you and me, I think this could really be a good card." I'd be like, "Okay, like let's see it. Like, yeah, let's do it." Right. So I just feel, you gotta be open-minded and see the potential in things, and that's really a huge strength. And I think if people are more open-minded about cards, then they'll start thinking things are better than they are. They won't be like, day 2 into the expansion, Nocturne sucks. The card is day 2.
It's brand new, and people are like, oh, I know for a fact. It was so funny. I think it was the first or second day I ended my stream and you were still going, so I jumped in. And someone was asking what I was playing, and it was like a Leona. It was a Diana Teemo deck, and they're like, "That's impossible. That's going to be a bad deck." I'm like, "It is the first day. It is the first day of this set. Like, we're trying stuff out. Like, Diana sucks. Literally the first day. It's been like 4 hours. This has been out. It's already solved. It's already solved.
Format solved. Right.
Yeah. The thing people don't understand is formats don't get solved for usually years. And that will never happen in LOR, in my opinion. Right. I don't think LOR's format will ever be solved in history. No. Because they're going to change every month from balance changes and every 2 months from new cards. So, usually people think formats are solved, take 10 plus years. Like Legacy, for example, in Magic still has changes now. That's like 10 plus years old, right? Like, that's every format is like that. Like every format. You don't just solve formats. It takes years. So when people are like, when I play that from Data Deck and they're like, Nick, Sorry, I'm talking a lot.
No, go ahead.
No, this is perfect. This is why you're here.
Exactly.
Okay. So I'm in plat, right? I'm plat 1, and I'm losing a bit, winning a bit. And they're like, Nick, dude, like you keep losing this Nocturne Diana deck. It's just not good. Like we want to see you get rank 1, or I mean, I'd make the title like going for rank 1 again. But, I'm rooting for you. Like I really want you to do this. Like you got this, man. You're the homie. But like, maybe you should try something different. And I'm just like, dude, it's been like 2 days into the expansion. Like, there's absolutely no way I'm playing everything right. Like, keep in mind, like, even if a deck is good, I still have to learn my opponent's decks too, and like how to beat the matchups. I think people underrate how like important playing a matchup is. People just look at this deck beats this deck, or this deck's better than this deck. It's like I play every matchup differently with every deck for the most part. You do play every single matchup differently, so. Yeah. I'm just like, okay, well, your deck would be better if you cut Nocturne, and I'm like, well, how many
games have you played with it, by the way?
Yeah, I'm like, dude, I haven't even seen like half the cards. Like, I don't even like. What if I'm just playing Nocturne wrong? And I really just like try to be as humble as possible and be like, it's not the deck, it's me. Because even if the deck's not that good, I knew for a fact, again, 4 months focus all for years. There's no way. Like so I've been playing cards my whole life, right, at a high level. I think I learn a deck faster than the average card game player, right? And if I think I'm not anywhere close to learning Nightfall in 2 days, there is no way it's like figured out. Like, I'm just like, okay, so this would take me minimum like 2-3 weeks of playing every day for me to feel like I really figured it out, even to like some extent, like really got it down. So I don't just want to say, oh, Nightfall is bad because I'm doing bad my second day with Nightfall. Like, I probably don't know like half the things I can do with this deck, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and so, especially in this game, because things like mulligans for every single specific matchup is so important. Like you said, you need to play every matchup completely different based on what you're playing against, which isn't the same in every card game, where sometimes the deck will just play itself. Which is like, Blevins and I have talked about this many times, how like playing aggro specifically in this game is more skill intensive than playing aggro in other card games, because sometimes it's right to keep that Darius or the Harrowing or whatever in your opening hand, depending on what matchup you're playing against. So, I mean, not only learning your deck, but you need to learn all the other decks so much more in this game versus other card games.
Yeah.
It's
people always mean on aggro players. They don't get it, bro. I'm not an aggro player, by the way. Everyone always says I'm an aggro player. Well, I just think it's fun. I just think aggro's fun.
Yeah,
I'll play whatever.
Right. The people do rag on aggro players, and it's got to be from like the concept of it. Here's the thing: is my theory on why people rag on aggro players or like aggro decks in general as being easy to play, when in actuality they're not. At the end of the day, what you're doing in every game is the same, right? You're getting your opponent down to 0. You're killing them from 20, going down to 0. Aggro decks tend to do that relatively straightforward in terms of the number of steps it takes to get there. You're doing burn damage directly to their nexus and lowering them to 0. You're attacking with units relatively straightforwardly, and that part, the number of steps to get from 20 to 0 is fewer than a control deck with ASOL, where it's like, okay, I'm building up a board presence, I'm killing a bunch of their units, I'm playing big units, I'm making a lot of decisions with Invoke, etc. At the end of the day, point A and point B are the same for both decks. It's just that the distance between the two might be larger for a control deck versus an aggro deck. And because that distance is bigger, people assume that it's easier to get from point A to point B with an aggro deck, when actually, like, so many people, like the people who say aggro is 3-head, they play aggro decks horribly. They play them the worst. Like, I see people saying that, for instance, like, I feel like it was.
And when you do good with them, they're like, "Oh, he's just an aggro player."
Oh, he's just
like,
an aggro.
You said it was hard,
right?
And then you can't do it, and it's hard.
Yeah.
But then when I do it, it's just so easy. Like, I'm just laying my head on the table.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, in Hearthstone, I feel like even more so than in Magic, it was the case, because it's like, oh, Hunter, it's just so easy. But like, I see people like just misusing their hero power all the time. And it's like, you're playing it so suboptimally.
But it would just reward you for playing.
You just get rewarded because like, regardless of the archetype, like sometimes a deck is really strong, right? Like, and you can play it suboptimally and get there. What's really like blowing my mind in the story that you're telling about Nightfall, Nick, is that you started off You went 6-12 and continued to play the deck. I can't do that. Like, it's so hard for me.
I could feel the room for improvement. I was like, I won't know how the deck is until I'm losing because of the deck and not because of myself.
Right.
But last thing's on aggro. All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think that aggro may be easier to play than other decks, but it's more resourcing, and if you mess up, you lose. So you have to make less mistakes. Like, here's the way I see it.
Yeah.
There's less decisions, so it's easier because you have to make the right decision less amount of times.
Sure.
But if you mess up one time, you lose. For the most part. Yeah. But with other decks, you can actually mess up 1 or 2 times or 3 times and still win. So it's like easier or harder. And also, this game's really interactive. So like, when you're playing aggro, it's not like you're just playing solitaire like other games where like they can't. Well, obviously they can do stuff too, but like it's not like I'm just playing things and doing. I'm playing things and then they're playing things to stop me, and it's like every matchup is different because of their stuff. But yeah, I just, again, with the Nightfall thing, I just felt I couldn't tell how good it was until I was playing it right.
Yep.
Which is crazy. Yeah,
and I think the only exception to aggro players being bad is Neverglade Collector. So, anyways, just kidding. I know I'm curious. So, what are some of your least favorite and some of your favorite cards in this game?
Oh, that's a good question. My least favorite cards of all time were Braum when he had the 1 attack.
Okay.
Ooh, yeah.
Strong.
That was my least favorite card, probably like maybe ever, because there's only 2 that come to mind that are like on the same level as him. It's one and one other one, himself and one other one. Because if you play him on 4 against aggro, they instantly lost. If you play him on 4 against mid range, they also lost instantly. So you're like forced to play control. And like, people would always just say like Daring is so good, but like it's so easy to stop. But I don't know.
Had a really good win.
I don't know. Daring was good, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is Braum felt really impressive to certain matchups and certain hands, mostly like, Daring is very powerful, right? And it could beat that deck a lot of the time, or not really, but sometimes. But certain hands with any deck, if you're like, oh, if they have Braum here, and the worst is like you're playing a mid range deck and like you want a Fury to kill it, but if they Fury you back, then they level up or you get like close to level up. And so that, and then my other card was the original Troop of Elnix, because it literally, if they've summoned it, they had a chance to immediately win the game.
Yep.
And there's nothing you
just
could do
out of
about
nowhere.
What it was, nothing you could do. It just happens and it's over.
Yeah, we were talking about that card last night, actually, because someone was complaining about like Ezreal being too strong right now, and we were like, "Have you played against Troop of Elnux Ezreal when that was a thing? Like that sucked.
Just get knocked."
So I guess I'll say like a few more. I'll look through the card list real quick and say like a few cards that maybe I don't like that much, but I have a lot I do like. So I'll try to make it quick. All right, maybe Fiora. I don't like Fiora's design. I think she's really interactive. The decks that very polarizing matchups. I actually don't like Revitalizing Roar. I think I like Star Shaping if it would heal like 3. So I won't only mention. Oh, Black Market Merchant's like my least favorite card, like maybe ever too.
Right.
Not as much. I mean, I actually like playing it myself, and I think Braum and True Bonks are their own level, but Merchant is like extremely tilting.
Yeah.
Like for some, I could actually go on like a whole like 10-minute rant on why it's annoying, but I'll just skip that.
Well, I think what would you? I'm curious because I've kind of pitched this idea. Not that it matters that I'm pitching the idea or not, but what would you think about Nab if it were on? Like, what if forget that Riptide Rex as a card exists, and imagine that instead Nab was out of the game, except Riptide Rex was like Plunder Nab 4 or something like that. Like that was the only instance of it where like you have a big splashy 8-mana epic, and that's the only instance of stealing cards from your deck. It's not like a theme of the whole set. It's just him, and it's only on like and maybe the number is off, but like it's just an 8-mana flashy card that steals cards instead. Like Farron, for example. It's like there's not a bunch of cards that create decimates. It's just a big 8-mana dude that does this unique thing versus like, oh, there's a 2-mana one. And also, like, the best draw spell in the game was that too. Like,
yeah, so stupid.
I mean, compared to Black Market Merchant, I would 100% do it any day. I think Black Market Merchant was like it's a 2-drop 2.
Yeah, like if Black Market Merchant was like a 5-mana 4/4. Okay, yeah, there's so much. Yeah, I agree.
I wouldn't mind that as much.
I think.
So other card, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't like. I actually don't even not really like this card. I just don't think it's healthy though.
Okay.
Call me aggro player if you want. This isn't even about aggro. This is mid-range. It's just a card. Radiant Guardian. Card is like insanely polarizing. Like, especially right now, certain decks like it's one of the only cards I feel like nothing the rest of the game even mattered what happened, but if they play it, you can just like auto win in certain hands, certain matchups. Even certain hands that aren't even like that, you know, there's mid range decks. They just play it, and you're just like, I can't beat this 5/5 tough that like life steals, because like once they play it that turn, if their deck if they have a single combat or can search like or anything, it's just like the whole game, everything that happened previously was just lost, and like you can't always play around it with your hands. So it's like you'd like to you know, think there's skillful methodology to going around it, but I mean, it's not the case all the time. It's kind of like Unyielding Spirit. That was one of my least favorite cards, because it's like a lot. I mean, yeah, you can play around sometimes. You can kill them through it. You can like I don't know, like make them force them to pressure with spend mana. But it's like a lot of times that's just not the case, and the hand state you're put in, like first Unyielding Spirit, and what deck you're in, like you auto lose. Like you can't beat it. Like if you can even have outspit in your deck, but like if you don't have them at the time, like it's just over, and like nothing you do really about it. And that's just, and in a lot of matchups it just makes decks like unplayable. Like Hush is getting, like Hush is, people say a lot of Hush has the same example. I think Hush is obviously a lot lesser scale, but it's up there. I don't really hate Hush that much, but I do think they could change it. But everything else, I don't really think there's any other cards I actually like most of the cards in this game. I'm sure there's more somewhere, but I like most of them.
Well, I know there's one, I don't know if you love or hate it or whatever, but I know that you've been relatively vocal about it, and that's Ezreal.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not like that against Ezreal. It's just
not necessarily against. Yeah. I'm curious.
My opinion, I think it should be nerfed slightly. I mean, right now it's like the worst it's ever been. But I just feel you want cards to play against and with feel fun, healthy, and interactive. And Ezreal could be fun for them, but I don't think he's very interactive or healthy. And a lot of people will say, well, the interaction part is all that steps before Ezreal, like all the removal spells and stuff like that. And it's like, I mean, yeah, maybe for you, but like if you're just playing and like they just, you know, like a lot of hands, you summon things and like they kill it. It's just like it feels like between the steps between the beginning and Ezreal, there's only so much you can do to play around him because he'll open the deck, and you wouldn't like. Look at Farron. Farron gives you 3 decimates on turn 8, and like let's take like 12 mana or 15 more mana to do. Ezreal, when you play him, he just does 20 damage to your Nexus in the game. Over if you can, and it's just over. Like it's just kind of, I don't know. I don't not like Ezreal. I just wish that there was more counterplay to Ezreal, I guess. I mean, again, you can say what you will, thinking like the beginning parts or counterplay. That's true. There is a lot of counterplay before Ezreal, but even given all that, all the things you can do with the, you know, leading to Ezreal, I still feel like he's in his own like league. And this format's a bit different. Like the cards I said earlier, I actually would much rather change those than Ezreal. So like Ezreal, I'm less passionate about. Someone asked me to change it. I mean, we had last format, there was like 5 tier 1, tier 2 Ezreal decks. And then people actually went out their way to make Lux Ezreal to see if it was good, and it was like low tier 2. So it's just like, okay, if you can put a card in every single region in the game, it's actually stunning how he's not like tier 1 right now. Because I was talking with Swim on one of his podcasts one time. We looked back at the formats, and I think he was tier 1 every single format in the game, and he was the best deck in every single format in the game except for like 1 or 2. So this is actually his lowest score right now.
And I have to think that, I mean, we haven't had a ton of tournaments, and, you know, ladder is still, you know, forming, right? We've seen Targon Ezreal already perform at least up to some level, right? With, you know, Teal Red was running that at the onset of the format, the Targon Ezreal, and like, again, like you said, there's no way, like, even Teal Red, who is a madman and a specialist at certain decks, like, there's no way that he built that deck optimally, right? And he was probably playing it very well, but there's so much that you can change about the deck. And like, I like Ezreal as a card because I'm probably a little bit biased because I like the character. He used to be my old main back when I played League, like in 2010 or whatever. And I just like the design of the card in general. But the fact that he levels in the deck, the fact that he levels for doing something that you already want to do in a control deck, like very easily. And then the fact that he is uninteractable once he's in play because of burst and all that. Like, the way that you make him worse is to make either other things overpowered and either faster, or somehow like make it so that you don't want to target things.
nerfs are 10 times healthier than buffs in card games, especially.
Right, because
way to go.
Because if you power up other things. What's that?
That's what happened in the Brahmanivia format. That's what happened in the Brahmanivia format, and it was like the worst format. Like instead of nerfing things, they just had to buff like 3 other things, and then it just became like the least healthy power creep like rock paper scissors format. And one thing I want to mention about nerfs though is I think everything should be extremely slight in the nerfs and buffs. We've seen extremely slight nerfs and buffs change things like Irish and Trapper and stuff. So if I would say like, if someone's like, hey Nick, what do you think about nerfing this card? And I would say yes, which is going to be kind of rare. I mean, I would nerf some things, but it's like, I mean like extremely scarce. I'm not talking like, people always think nerf means like gut the card or kill the card. Like, no, like if you want to nerf something, like make it extremely slight because this game is so balanced, right? Like, I'm being honest, like this game is just like so balanced. That's why it's still questionable to even nerf anything at all the time, or like buff things. So I feel if they do something and make it very, very slight, the main reason Ezreal concerns me, or one of them, is that with cards coming out, he's gonna be extremely easy to level. Like when I first saw Make It Rain and level up 3 out of 8, I was like, this is insane. Like it's a 2-cost card that levels up 3 out of 8. What if Bilgewater gets one more card? Like there's at some point Bilgewater's gonna get another card that targets multiple things, right? Like at some point. And then what? Like you just give him 5 out of 8, like turn 3, like that's just like insane. And then Riptide Rex levels him up in one go. The thing about that is like, it's like, oh well, it's Rex is the problem. It's like, okay, let's say Rex is the problem, right? And they nerf one cannon barrage off it, right? It's still gonna level it up like almost instantly, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it doesn't matter. Like they can't just take Rex out of the game. Like they're not gonna do that. So like, I feel, and then a lot of people also say, well, we need karma to like kill people 20-0. It's like, well, I don't think so, because usually when people level Ezreal, and most decks will do like 8 damage that turn, and if they don't kill it immediately that turn, which a lot of times they can't, it's elusive and stuff, the next turn they get their mana back and they refill, and then they just do it the rest of the damage.
Yeah. Well, that goes to a point that we actually talked about on the show last week, is like, people always think like, oh well, if you do 700,000 damage, that's way better than if you do 20, when actually those two numbers are the same in this game. If you have an infinite combo, or you have something that does exactly 20, it's the same amount of damage. Like, it doesn't matter if you can do more. So, like, if an Ezreal can scrap together 20 damage, or you can, like, combo kill them and do 20 in one turn with Ezreal Karma, it doesn't actually matter. Those are the same thing, right? And just because, like, you did the flashy thing doesn't make it better. But, yeah, to kind of summarize your point, because I don't want to go too much more on Ezreal. I know we're quickly running out of time here, so we're going to go to just a couple more topics. But to kind of summarize, like, Ezreal, the way Ezreal's designed, and there's some other cards too that are like this, so I don't want to necessarily harp on exactly Ezreal, but it limits, like, the types of cards that they can print. Like you said, what if Bilgewater has, like, a 3-mana deal 2 damage to something, and if it kills it, do 1 to something else, like something like that, like, right? Like, all of a sudden, Ezreal Bilgewater is busted. Like, it just needs that one little piece. And, like, do you want to make it so that you can never print another card like that, or do you want to maybe change Ezreal? So that's I think the sort of the thought behind it. But
also note, I didn't even mention Ezreal card I didn't like. I like Ezreal. I like Karma Ezreal. And again, they nerf him, make it extremely slight. This is like the worst it's ever been, and again, like, very slight. It's like, I'm not, like, I want, like, Ezreal seems to be like a strategy in the game. You should want to take that away. He's one of the only of his kind, so he should be good. But maybe it's just slightly worse. All right, I'm gonna go 2 seconds without explanation, saying cards I like, because I'm mostly about positivity. So I want to explain any things. I'll just say them. All right, Diana, Misfortune, Draven, Garen, Yasuo, Quinn.
You put Yasuo on there, Saucy.
I gotta go do dishes.
Story is kind of overpowered. I do like him. Like Arena Battlecaster. Glimpse is cool. I like Bilgewater, Demacia, Noxus, and Shadow Isles a lot. But I think Targon's gonna grow on me. The Celestials are pretty cool. Yeah, those are, I guess, the cards I like.
Nice. Yeah, I think there's a lot of really cool things to like, and there's a lot of diversity in a lot of the regions. There's a lot of stuff to like out of pretty much any of them. Okay, Saucy, with only a few minutes left, is there any other topics specifically that you want to go into?
Yeah, I have a very important question that I've been really the whole rest of the show you can just delete. None of it matters. Just throw it all out because
right,
cards are great.
There we
People
go.
play
Delete
this.
it.
Yeah, just throw it away. Like people play this game because I'm air quoting card game. We all really know it's important. I need to know, Nick, what is your favorite Guardian?
Oh, I think it's actually the new dog,
Oh yeah.
the Cosmo
Doggo's
dog.
good.
But I really like Rainbow Poro,
Mm-hmm.
Cosmo Dog, the Festival Kit, and Von Yip.
Nice.
Those are probably my four. I can't pick one. Oh, you don't like
It's tough.
cats, or?
No. Those are good. I'm just glad that you didn't say T-Hex. That's the only one that is off limits.
Okay, yeah, I
Down
think
with T-Hex.
after all of them, I usually use Cosmo or the Rainbow Poro,
Mm-hmm.
but I did enjoy Von Yip and Festival Kit when I did use them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm gonna use them again. There's two of my favorites, but I like Festival Kit. Yeah, I think I like Von Yip and or not Von Yip. I do like that one, but Cosmo and the Rainbow Poro.
Mm-hmm. Both are
my two picks.
Both are
those are acceptable
very
answers.
Good. Yeah, very, very good answers. But Nick, we are just about out of time here, so I want to thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it. I think you had some really, really good insights into just playing at a high level, like actually, putting real testing into decks and not just net. Not even to be against net decking, but actually like
fine.
Testing.
Some people just like doing that.
Yeah, there's
cool.
there's a level beyond net decking that you need to do, which is actually test the deck and see what actually works and doesn't work, and how you're supposed to play the deck, not just copy pasting. But Nick, where can people find you? Is there anything else that you're doing? What do you want to sell out, shout out, plug? The floor is yours.
Okay, twitch.tv/NicMakesPlays is my Twitch. I also have a YouTube, same thing, NicMakesPlays. So please follow me there. I'm on every day at 6:30 EST, which is right now, but I'll be on like an hour or something. And then the second thing I want to do is actually bring light to something that me, Silverfuse, Precipice, Swim, Mav, and Rally Bones work on, and it's making articles for Mobalytics. We started making daily guides for Mobalytics, and it's on the website as a guide section. I think they're all very informative. A lot of like time's been put into them, and they're kind of a new feature. So I like people to check those out. My writing can definitely improve in a lot of ways. So I actually love to hear feedback if anyone reads them, because if I'm writing something I really like I write like a deck guide, it'd be so easy, right? But I feel I want you guys to check out our work, and I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about the Mobalytics guides improving, and also follow me on Twitch and YouTube if you'd like to. I guess last thing is like what my stream does. I try to just high level competitive play. After I hit a high rank or whatever I want, like I hit rank 1 in NA pretty fast. So I want to do an EU now. And after that, I'll probably just take deck requests. After I've done what I want to do for the format, I just ask chat pick 2 champions, and I'll make the best deck I possibly can. I think my favorite thing to do is take a concept or deck against potential and make it the best I can make it. That's what I enjoy. So if you enjoy watching that kind of thing happen, then I got you. Let's have fun. So I like that positivity too. I'm very positive. I know that it gets harder, and this format, especially for me, has been some matchups I don't know are weird, but generally I like positivity, and I really like to have people play and have fun. So if you're looking for a stream that's upbeat, or you feel like you can be yourself, then I really like to talk about the good things of LOR. Today we talked about cards I didn't like, but that was just because they asked me, and I said cards I like too. But I really like to spread the amazing things about this game, because I think that pretty much everything is amazing. And there's so much good to say, you could go on forever. So yeah. Just, if you want to hang out LOR, that's what we do.
Yeah, and I personally can recommend Nick's stream. If you haven't been in there, make sure you're checking it out, and check out the guides as well on Mobalytics. Saucy, where can people find you when you're not here on the show?
I'm always here on the show. You can find me just my website, saucymailman.com. That's where all of my guides and videos and everything's at. And I'm just on the internet everywhere at Saucy Mailman.
Sweet. Well, you can find me on Twitter at @the_Blevins. Find me on Twitch. Sometimes I stream, mostly just podcasts these days. Twitch.tv/theblevins. But you can find the podcast on Twitter at Runeterrable. You can go to runeterrable.com. You can go to DeckPics.Live. That's the website that we have. And the best place to find us is going to be at discord.me/RuneterrableRadio. We have an amazing community there. A lot of folks of you that are in chat right now are very, very active in the Discord. So cannot suggest if you're a new player, a veteran player, anything like that, it is a really great place to find people to play with and theorycraft and just, shoot the shit with. It's an amazing community that we have. And of course, like we mentioned at the top of the show, we do have the Patreon as well, patreon.com/Runeterrable Radio. Again, shout outs to Cosign Joe, Night Striker, and Riven Hound for being our first patrons there, but you can support us there if you want as well. But that is going to be it. Thank you again to Nick for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. Had an amazing conversation. But for Nick, for Saucy, I'm Blevins, and we'll see you next week, and we'll talk about some more Legends of Runeterra.